much everyone. Tonight we'll be doing well, actually we're doing a testimony that I did before, which was labeled business construction. It was just basically how God led me through different phases through starting a business and all these things. So I don't know if Patrice will add anything in between, but I'll just start off with my testimony. Hopefully it will help people. When I started off a business, a car wash, and um, all I just had was $1,000, and we started a whole business with that, which led it to a shed and a foundation and all these things. When I first started it, a lot of people, they actually looked down on me and all these things, but God keep reassuring me that, yeah, He keep reassuring me that that what I'm doing is what He wanted me to do, even though how bad it looked and all these things, right? Until we made it a step further, which we cast out the foundation and these things. Even with the foundation, everybody told me, even experts in construction and all these people told me that the foundation is not possible with the money I had, but the Lord told me that it was possible to just keep doing what He told me to do. So I just keep followed Him. He showed me how to reinforce certain areas of the land and these kind of things without in a cost-effective ways and all these things. And many a times that even when I went to depression after talking to all these people just had negative responses, and the Lord keeps saying, go and start to build. And yet I did delay because I know I didn't have the things, and it's only when I started, then everything started to flow. So when God tells you to do something, just make sure that it mightn't look like you have everything, it mightn't look like everything is in place, that everything is a-okay, but when you start, everything will start to flow. Is basically one step at a time. Then for the construction of a roofing, which was one of the biggest thing that we had to do over there. It was very difficult in the sense that I had to keep working within the hot sun and all these things, and people that should have supported me, like I would pray and say, God, please send somebody to help, and somebody would come and say they would help, but then after a while they would say, no, I don't want to help no more. Basically, that's what I said. And so that's where I learned about free will and all these things. You know, God could talk to people, but people still have free will to turn you down and not listen to God. But I guess in the end, it's willing, yeah, you know, they would, in disobedience, God would just be a downfall. You know, they would probably something that they're supposed to gain and probably might not gain and all these things, right? But we still hope for whoever betterment and all these things, right? I remember too, a lot of people saying what you're doing you're not supposed to be doing, and I just received a lot of opposition where people did not believe that it was anything of God, where the people of God should have particularly discerned, which I thought in my own opinion that's supposed to happen. But you know, I guess God is, I guess that's a testing of faith and all these things. You know, God might show you something, but He mightn't show others it. So you just have to keep doing what He told you to do, right? And many a times it's just a quick recap of this testimony, right? And many a times when God told me to do something, it looked like it absolutely had nothing to do with it. And it's only when I started, then everything flowed, right? And He also taught me a lot of things on how to work in the sun and different techniques and all these things. So even though the experience was a bit, I would say, life-threatening, I did learn a lot of technique through experiences that the Lord placed me in. So even in those struggles, you know, everything that the enemy might have turned out for bad, it ended up turning around for good. I ended up learning more through those phases of trials, right?
I think one of the things, sorry to cut you so abruptly, but I think one of the things that the Lord was teaching us to, especially during those trying times in the sun, was to sympathy and empathy for those who work that hard. there are people who have to go through these things without Jesus, without God. So it's to build a heart of compassion for a certain class of people as well. And what kept us going to were other testimonies from people, other believers who are on TV and such, who said they went through such situations too. We heard from Joyce Meyer, we heard from other popular people on Hillsong channel. They gave their testimonies, and one of the ladies said how she had to resort to using her coins, her savings, the coins to go and get grocery stuff, and while she was taking it out to pay for her bill, she heard the voice of the Holy Spirit tell her, don't you ever look down on another person for having to use change to pay for their food stuff. So and by that she understood that God was showing her, teaching her humility through it, and to understand what people go through, to have sympathy for them. And there was also another pastor who gave his testimony, and I didn't even know he went through all this, but he's also another popular preacher. He's Pastor Andrew Womack. He gave his testimony about how him and his wife, when they first started ministry, the first 5 years of their marriage, they did not have anything to eat basically. They really struggled. And for a whole week when she was pregnant with one of her children, his wife had to go through that entire week with just water alone. All she had was water to drink, both of them. So all these things, people look at you and say, well, God will never have you go through such things, such situations and stuff. But really and truly, when you're doing God's will, and you're giving it your all, like you truly lay down every single thing to follow Him, that is when you see the most opposition, and when you see even people from church turning their backs on you, and your family, your friends turning their backs on you and saying this is not God. But in those times, you just have to hold on to what you know the Holy Spirit has told you, because I promise you that the results are going to be lasting, and you feel a sense of fulfillment when you know you're doing what God asks you to do. So no matter how hard the opposition is, stick to it and you will see results. It will be like an effortless thing, and there is a lesson to learn behind all the struggles that you're going through. It has something He wants to show you that will prepare you for later on in life. So that's just what I wanted to add.
Yeah, well, she said a lot of things that I actually missed and wanted to say, and kind of brought back the remembrance. But yeah, a lot of people actually did say this is not of God, because God wouldn't make you go through all this time without all this food and go through all this suffering and all these things. And it was people in church and close people that God was speaking to actually tell them to do certain things to us, but they ignored Him, because people many a times prefer to do things out of their own mind rather than with the wisdom of God, as the Bible says, to lean not on your own standing, but to lean on His understanding, right? On His wisdom, right? You must do that in all your ways, right? So I wouldn't say that I obeyed God at all times. I did disobey sometimes, and then I would say, Lord, sorry for not obeying. Help me to get past this, help me to get past this weakness that I have and all these things. So I did learn all areas where I was weak in and thing where I thought that I didn't have any problems. And the Lord showed me that yeah, you do have problems here and there and all these things, going through these trials, that you do see where you um, where you really need them most, where you think you need them the least is actually where you need them the most, right? So so this is our testimony basically on just listening to God, no matter what it is. He would start off small, so and then lead it into something big, and He'll take it step by step, no matter how it is, right?
I
So
also remember when I asked the Lord, well, what can I do to help too? Like what we have is not much, but what can I do? And He told me that I could start selling drinks. So I started selling drinks by the side of the road in front of our home, because we live on a main road, and a lot of my family got down on me for that too. And honestly, it was like kind of embarrassing at first, not kind of, a lot. And I felt a sort of sadness for the people that do that on a daily basis, you know. I could now relate to how they feel and understand like what they go through, you know. It was a difficult thing. The sun was horrific to stand in at all that time. But yeah, just stick to it and you will see certain things unfold. He has spoken certain things concerning the business that we won't mention, but there's a lot of things he says he wants to do to expand it and such, but I don't think we should be mentioning that at this point in time. So I think that's it for tonight. I don't know if you want to add anything else.
Yeah, so well, the business that it basically had the plan of doing more of ministry work and all these things. So it wouldn't just be like a car wash or anything of that sort. It would be something to help the community, help people that need prayer and all these things. What we slowly get in there bit by bit, and as Patrice talked about, the Lord did show us a lot about sympathy and all these things. I even noticed for myself that a lot of poor people actually sympathize more than the richer folks because they know the struggle and they know how hard things are. And a rich person will actually look down on you and just actually try to take more from you rather than give more in a lot of instances.
And how much work it is to cook 3 meals a day, you know, every day. It's difficult. People who have money readily, they could purchase food whenever they want, but poorer class people, they have to find the money to buy the food, and when they get the food now, they have to cook the food. So that's a whole other story, and they don't know how many kids they have, they don't know what they're doing for a living. So to get that time to and energy to put out to make food all the time, that's a lot. That in itself is a lot for people.
Yeah, so hopefully this testimony helps someone out there. Keep doing what you're supposed to do, and
Stay
remember,
faithful.
yeah, stay faithful. I remember what God told you to do. He wouldn't tell somebody else to do, right? So do what He told you to do. I know when you're doing what you're supposed to do, that's when the devil is going to attack you most. He's going to send every single possible person that around you to discourage you and not to do the will of God. So just keep doing what you're supposed to do, right?
And remember, the Bible says that those who trust in the Lord shall not be put to shame. So no matter how bad you might be feeling right now, when you stick to it, even though it's looking bad, whatever it is He asks you to do, if there is justification. He will defend you. He will look out for you. He loves you so much that He will speak to people personally to you. Just look at Abraham and Sarah when Sarah when he lied about his wife being his sister Abraham, and the king took her. God went to the king himself and said, "You are a dead man." So God goes through great lengths just to look out for you and make sure that you are okay.
Yeah, and also those everyone that I know that the Lord spoke to help in some way and they refused. I just keep thinking about the parable with the seeds and all these things. So they probably might have, even though they didn't sow anything, the Lord was giving them a chance to probably sow something to reap something even greater out of it. So they probably missed that. And so also be careful of where you sow and all these things. Sow in the correct things and you'll get good stuff, and try not to sow into the wrong areas because many of those people they end up sowing in the wrong areas when they're supposed to sow into us. And um and that well and many of the things that I know that we struggle in and all these things, the Lord always send help when we least expected it. He sended help, and even the people that use their free will to disobey and not listen and all these things, God still end up sending help somehow. So, God will always send help in some way or the other. It might not be the way you want it to be.
It's also important not to look at the people.
Yeah.
So that's one major thing we learned too. Like, it's not people, so don't look at them, because in those moments where He said God just showed up and show us what He can do, it's almost like He was saying, just look at me, look at what I can do. Regardless if they didn't listen or not, look at what I can do still. So we took our eyes off everyone that we felt hurt by, not getting the support and encouragement and stuff. And we just, as hard as it was in the time, we just kept looking to him. We saw like tremendous, miraculous things happen. Like we probably need to make another testimony on that too. So you can go ahead.
Yeah, so that's it, everyone. Tonight will just be endless. I remake on my testimony on the business construction, because the last video we made it didn't have all these lights and equipment and all this stuff that we have now for a proper testimony, right? So good night, everyone, and enjoy the rest of the week. We'll probably see you all at the end of the weekend, right?